Hey everybody, welcome to another episode. On today's show, he's back. It's been a very long time, but Mr. Malone from Straight Talk with Ross Matthews and his podcast, it's a gay podcast, is back for the hour. He's going to sit down and chat with me, so grab a drink, hunker down, and enjoy the show, everybody. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Who Invited Her. We are San Diego's LGBTQ pop culture podcast. I am your host, Tony. And you guys, this week, the gang is off. They have the weekend off, so it's just me and producer Robbie's here. Say hi, Rob. Turn on your mic.
Hey everybody, I'm here too.
And you guys, I'm very excited about this episode. He was in our very first season, and it's been a while.
That's right.
But today we're going to catch up with Mr. Malone. You probably know him from his podcast. It's a gay podcast, and co-host of Straight Talk with Ross Matthews. It's Mr. Malone. Hi, Mr. Malone.
Tony, hello, and I'm so happy to be back. I kind of feel like Dolly's back.
Dolly's back. Hello,
and I love that it's
Dolly.
I love that it's just you and I. I mean, I really would love to meet the gang sometime.
I know, right?
But yeah, it's like we have our own little
no,
thing.
they're
intimate.
worthless. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
How terrible to throw them under the bus.
Oh, I'll throw them and drive the bus, and they know that.
I'm so happy to see you, and I'm so happy to be doing this today.
Me too. I'm so happy to have you back and catch up with you of what's been going on. There's been a lot. First, I want to tell you that in our household, Robbie and I, on a daily basis, have faggyisms that we say all the time, which tickles me fancy every time Rob throws it. And for you people who are listening, a lot of these come from Fagsy's podcast. It's a gay
Oh my
podcast.
gosh.
But
Okay,
go ahead, Fagsy.
I like that you said, did you say faggyisms or
Yeah.
fagsyisms?
Fagsyisms.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
Fagsyisms,
Oh my
yes.
God, I'm so honored. And thank you for listening to It's a Gay
Yeah.
podcast.
So Robbie and I will be in arguments sometimes, and then he'll turn to me at any given moment and goes, "It's too much. And I would just die laughing. Or he'll
Yes.
wake up in the morning and step out.
We go to the balcony and be like, "Hello, creatures of the world."
Creatures of the world, blue sky,
Blue sky.
butterflies.
Or the other
my
one
God.
here that we always do is what is it? Murder.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I hope
perilous
I don't get
outside.
murdered.
Yes. Or what's the other one you do, Rob? The oh God, it just left me.
My rickety-crickety gay body.
Oh, yes, because instead of Judy from the other room, I hear him go, "Tony." And I'm like,
Oh, okay. Well, let me try it because I used to say, Judy.
"Yeah."
But
there
now
it
I
is.
go like, Tony. And I always have to do this with my finger. Tony.
Yeah. I'll hear that from the other room, and I'll just start busting up. I don't know why it just cracks me up whenever we do that.
Well, I love that you listen.
Yeah.
And I love that you have fagsyisms.
We do.
That makes me
We
really
do.
happy.
And none of our my other friends are like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I'm like, and Rob gets it because we both listen religiously, so it'll make us laugh, and then everybody's like, "These idiots."
But we've talked about this before. And when that comes over, there's parts in that podcast where I don't know who I'm channeling, what comes over me, but my voice changes with those. And we've talked about this as far as being like an old screen star. Like,
Yes,
I think
and
that's what
really
who I am.
It's so freaking hot for our audience in our place. I am like sweating like a whore. It is so bad. Not a whore in church, just a regular whore. But
Oh my gosh. Don't you have a little fan on you?
we usually run the AC, but the audio picks it up. And so once we start the show, I just turn it off and suffer. For all of you fans, I just suffer.
I
and
understand.
Sweat.
Yeah.
So
I
Vagsy,
understand that.
how has quarantine treated you? Like, how are you handling this lockdown? Because I know everybody's handling it different. So how are you getting through it?
Tony, I love this question because I am thriving in lockdown. I am loving it. I'm living my best life.
Yeah.
And I know that's not the norm. And I have a lot of compassion for people that are not working and not getting paid. I think about them every day. My neighbors here that aren't working. So I understand that. But I'm just so grateful that I'm working, I'm doing podcasts. I'm able to be with my dog all day. And, I'm being an older gentleman. I'm turning 75 next week. I'm kidding.
You look amazing.
Thank
Amazing. Not a
you.
day over 40.
Well, we were talking about this before. I
know,
tell
we
people
were.
that I'm older now, so they say, "Oh, you look so good for that age." But now, what was I saying? See how old I
About
am?
about quarantine. Being
Yes,
it's you've been thriving with the
oh,
quarantine and the lockdown.
thriving, and I'm doing a lot of my readings. I'm doing
Yes.
my automatic pen readings, and so that's going really well. But I know what I was saying because I'm older. I think too. Like I feel like been there, done it. I was
Yeah.
isolating before isolation. I was quarantining before quarantine. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's not like my life has changed much.
Yeah, and I think I'm surprised with me. I thought I was gonna hate it, but I've been totally fine. The only
Really?
thing is, I half the time I want to kill Rob, but it's fine. I tell our friends by the end of this, only one's gonna survive. It's gonna be like battle royale at some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for me, I'm fine with it. The only thing I miss is like the social aspect of being with their
Right.
friends, especially for our show. It's a very community show, very San Diego. So I miss seeing like our friends out in the community every
Right.
weekend, the drag shows. But besides that, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. We're the same. I miss getting a massage, being able to get a massage.
Yeah.
And I don't like wearing the mask so much, though I do feel there's a sexiness to that. Like
Yeah.
who's under the mask? It's kind of sexy. You
A
know what I
little
mean?
voyeur. What is it, voyeur?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just want to say also about quarantine, I'm an I'm an introvert disguised as an extrovert.
Okay.
So I'm very singular. I like to be by myself, but it appears that I want attention and I love people. I love putting myself out there, but I
Mhm.
also love being home and being alone. So
Yeah. Yeah. Because people can be exhausting.
thank you. But you get it because
I
you're
do.
fine with being home.
I am. I am. I miss seeing my family and my niece and nephew, or my niece and nephew, and my sister and stuff. But we'll
Yeah,
social distance each other. But those are the main things. But everything else, I'm like, I'm good. I'm good.
good.
I'm
That's
happy.
great. I'm happy to hear that. That's
Yeah.
nice.
So how? This is the other question. It's a gay podcast as is kind of on hiatus. It's been a bit since you've released a new episode, right?
Well, on Apple podcasts, yes.
Yes.
Yes. I moved it all over to Patreon.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because I
Yes.
was wondering, like, okay, I know it's over there, but when did that happen? And for people who follow you on or still follow the podcast on Spotify and Apple, so now they can get all of the new episodes on the Patreon. And where do they find it on Patreon?
Thanks, Tony. Patreon.com/Mr Malone. But I want to be honest with you about the podcast. After the fire that happened, my home burned down
Yeah.
in 2018, November, in the Malibu fires.
Mhm.
Completely, I lost everything. I feel like the show has been struggling to find its place again
Mhm.
because a lot of my podcast was about my neighbors. It was
Yeah.
about my neighbors and my interaction with them in Malibu and my whole life out there. So when
Mhm.
that went up in flames, I didn't, and it's kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
I mean, you still have me, but the characters are all gone, you
Yeah,
know?
it's like having to recast the show. And as a listener,
hmm
you get attached to your neighbors, not just you, but all
That
of the
surprises me.
neighbors.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
still surprises me that I still get messages like, how's Judy?
Hmm.
How's Lorne? And they ask about my neighbors out there. And I had no clue that people were
Yeah.
connecting to them.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's weird being a podcaster. You forget that it doesn't just stay in your little room where you do the show or the studio where you do the show. It's like all over the place. Everybody hears you and remembers. That's the thing. People
I
remember.
know. But you know this by podcasting. It's like, you do the podcast, you're in your own little bubble, like you said,
Mhm.
like, and you don't know where it's going, who's listening,
Yeah.
who's being impacted, you know what I mean? You don't know any of it. You just put it out there and wherever it lands, it's just a fascinating thing. I'm always surprised when people like will do fagsisms. Like, oh, you know that? Like, I don't, it's always so surprising to me.
Yeah. I bet. I mean, and you're such a character that it's hard not to like become obsessed with the sayings and the voices and all of that. Or maybe it's just me. I don't know.
I'm starting to incorporate them into Straight Talk Lacrosse.
Good.
Did you notice
Good.
that?
Yes, I have.
You have
Yes.
like my God.
God.
And like riveting, like little things
Yeah.
I'm adding in there
Yeah.
now.
How is doing Straight Talk now that you guys are all virtual doing it Zoom like us?
It's working. It's good. We got the sound down. You know what I mean? Because you got to work with the
Yeah.
sound on Zoom, and it works and it's great. But I do miss being in person with everyone. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I miss hugging Nikki and CJ and interacting in the moment live in person. I do miss that because as we were talking about the
Mhm.
Zoom thing, there is a delay, and like if I jump in, all of a sudden somebody's audio is cutting out. So I
Yeah.
prefer I miss in person, but we're doing it. We're making it work.
Yeah, we're kind of in the same. We miss doing it in person, except for Bashy. He loves being by himself. My other co-host, he's like, I don't need to talk to people. I don't need to see anybody. Give me a
Yeah.
bottle of booze and I'm good to go. So he's enjoying doing everything through Zoom.
I get
I'm
it.
like,
Yeah.
no. Everybody else is like, no. We need to be all be in the same room. Especially Miss Miriam T. She's used to having an audience as a drag queen. So
Yeah.
she's like, I just need people to perform in front of. Let's be in the
Right.
same room.
Yeah.
But it does it changes the dynamic for sure when you're not
Mhm.
face
It
to
does.
face to people. And I'm such a fan of Straight Talk, as everybody knows, because we talk about it a lot on this show. But like you and Nikki, especially Nikki Boyer, who was on our show. If you guys haven't listened to the Dying for Sex episode, go back and check it out. She was absolutely phenomenal on that show. Love her to death. But
Yeah.
you guys had, while you've been on her show, Daily Smile, which I
Mhm.
love the concept of this show. It is such a feel-good show, and
Isn't it wonderful?
it is exactly what we need right now in this quarantine and with all the shit happening.
Yeah.
It is so great, and you're becoming part of that show because you were just on one of the newer episodes.
Tony, I know they're incorporating me more into episodes,
Yeah.
as this and Mr. Malone comes in and
Yeah.
with his like opinion and how he sees things. But like you're right. Her podcast, the Daily Smile is much needed now. And Nikki she's such a pro and
Yeah.
she's so good
And
and
kind.
and
You
kind.
you can read that over the headphones, like just hearing her. It's so genuine and kind, and you just feel so good afterwards.
I know. And Nikki's incredible. And
Yeah.
did you ever meet her in person?
Yeah, we had talked about this on the show. We met Nikki years ago, and it was at Toucans in Palm Springs at one of your guys' live show.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
Tommy, her boyfriend, who I'm a big fan of his music, was standing next to me at the bar, and I turned over to Rob. I'm like, "That's Tommy Fields. That's Tommy Fields." And they started fangirling because one of his videos for his song is on one of my playlists for YouTube that I clean the house to. So he
Oh,
would
I love
pop
that.
up every Saturday morning.
Oh
when I
my
would
gosh,
clean.
that's so
So,
cute that you're all starstruck.
Yeah, and so I'm standing at the bar, and he's like next to me, and I was like, okay, I gotta say hi because I'm probably never gonna meet him again. And so I
Yeah.
turned, I was like, I'm such a big fan of your music, and he was like, what? You know who I am? I was like,
I
yes, I
love
love your
that.
music. And then that's how we met Nikki, because she came over
Yeah.
and started talking to us, and we had just started Who Invited Her. And Rob's not a social media person, so he had just created an Insta account, and Tommy and Nikki were the first post he ever posted. Was a picture with them.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, the great thing about Nikki, at the live event, did you notice that she takes her time and she
Yes.
focuses on you and
Yes.
takes and just gives you all of herself? Like she's
Yeah.
very present and she gives people her time and she looks right at you and she's just a beautiful person. And she
Yeah.
and I connected like right away on Straight Talk. The minute I walked into the studio there, it was like I just saw
Yeah.
Nikki and I was like, I like this girl.
And you guys have such a good vibe and rapport between the two of you.
Thanks,
And
Tony.
you really get to see that on the Daily Smile. Like
Oh,
you
thank
really,
you.
really do.
Yeah, thank you for listening too.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love that show.
I love it. Yeah,
And for people
thank
who
you.
don't know what it's about, it is literally she takes a story that'll make you smile from people that listen to the show, stuff she sees, reads, and she really goes into this. It just makes you feel so good.
Yeah, it's
If you need
great.
to pick me up, go listen to the Daily Smile. It's
Yeah.
very, very good. How has it been on Straight Talk? Like, because when you were on last time, you had just started getting into the groove of Straight Talk. So since then, how has the journey been for you now being on the show, like regular and really, really big part of the show?
Well, and we're now, it's just like a well-oiled machine.
Mhm.
I was talking to Ross about this a couple months ago. Like, we just click in, and no matter what we're feeling, the minute we click into these Zoom podcasts, the Zoom meetings, or even when we were in the studio, it just works. There's some kind of magic behind it. But I'm feeling more comfortable. I know my
Mhm.
place on the show now, and I just love it. It's a great step out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't need to when we're doing the show, we don't think about anything that
Yeah.
is bothering us in our lives or anything that's stressing us out. So, but yeah, no, I'm a lot more comfortable now, and there's a rhythm now to it, beats
Mhm.
to it, and it's great. I'm
Yeah.
just so happy to still be a part of it.
Yeah, and you guys still do such a freaking good show. And
Thank
you can,
you.
the thing I really love what Ross does with Straight Talk and all of you take the smallest little, maybe mundane things to some people and make
Mhm.
them so exciting. Like,
Like a
come on.
Domino's pizza
Yeah, I was just going to talk about the Domino's Pizza, Del
or a Del
Taco,
Taco
Debbie.
cheeseburger.
Yes. Exactly. And then the Mirror Gate was earlier this year. Like,
Ooh, that
I
was
know.
perilous. That almost murdered me in the dead of night.
Perilous.
Yes, no, and with the Del Taco burger thing,
Yeah.
really was so fast. Like Ross said to me oh, you should try the Del Taco burger. And then he said it like once on the show, and then it like took off.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. It really did.
Did you try it?
Actually, Rob loves Del Taco. So yes.
But Del Taco, the cheeseburger, the
Cheeseburger,
Del
yes.
Taco burger, it's like the Del burger or
I
something.
honestly can't tell the difference between any of the other cheeseburgers and that. It all tastes the same to me. It really do. I do want to try the Ross's pizza, the feta with the spinach and the thin crust. Yeah, that sounds delicious to me.
Tony, it's so good.
Really?
And I'm not just saying that because if it was bad, it'd be like, it's awful.
You would.
But that pizza's really good.
Yeah. You know who else I love on the show when she makes a special appearance? Jackie Beat. I love when
Isn't
she's on
Jackie
there.
Beat
Yeah.
hilarious?
Yeah, she's going to be in that new movie coming out, Stage Mom, which I'm
Yes.
so excited to
Yeah.
see. But I love when she's on the show. She's hilarious.
Well, I was in New York when it was the time of like Joey Arias and
Joey Arias,
Lady
so good.
Bunny
Yeah.
and Jackie Beat. So I have a lot of respect for Jackie Beat. She's an original.
Yeah.
And I think she is so talented and so funny. And what I love most about her is how she's relentless about asking for money.
Yes. No shame.
No shame. Just signs that she holds her Venmo up.
Yeah.
She's just she's relentless with it, and I
Yeah.
love it. I
Yeah.
love Jackie Beat.
Yeah, she's one of my favorites. I've always been such a fan of hers, and like Lady Bunny, Varley Jean Merman, all of the older queens. I love them. I love them. But I wanted to go back and because I know being in Southern California for us, and we have a lot of friends up in the LA area too, but the fires, it really devastated. And we got to hear that as fans on your podcast and Ross's.
Right.
So now, compared to when that happened to now, how has it changed and how are you doing and all of that? Just fill us in because we haven't talked to you since then.
I talked. Yeah, that's right. I talked to you before the fire. Thank you, Tony, for asking about it. The fire was, of course, a huge deal in my life. When it happened, it was devastating. I think I was in shock for 3 months afterwards, trying to process. And then after the 3 months, I really had to make a clear decision to be selfish and selfish in a good way because I needed to get my life back,
Mhm.
And so I had to only think about myself in the year that followed the fire. And I got an apartment, which I love and I'm in now. And my automatic pen readings, which maybe we'll talk about
Yes, we are
here
going to
today.
get into that.
Yeah, that
I'm
came to me.
excited for that.
Yeah, and I want to say that now I look at the fire as like I'm so grateful it happened. I think it was a
Really?
gift.
Okay.
Yeah, at the time I couldn't understand it. It was devastating and I was in shock and all that. But now I look at it like I call it the grand finale
Mhm.
because I feel like everything needed to burn for me to move into a new life. It was like a rebirth in a weird. I look at it
Yeah.
like that now.
Like a
And
phoenix born from the ashes. Yeah.
maybe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and, the night before the fire, I was really unhappy out there. It was a beautiful place to live.
Mhm.
I rented a little garage that was converted into, like, a room, and I painted out there, and, it was my home for 16 years, but I wasn't happy. I was isolated, I was struggling with my artwork, and
Mhm.
I just wasn't happy, and, the night before the fire, I remember, um, kind of stopping and kind of putting my hands up, and saying, kind of like it was like a Jesus take the wheel moment. It was like,
Yeah.
you know what, universe, I can't figure this out. I'm not happy. I want to move and I don't know how to do this. I don't have the money. I can't figure this out. So I'm surrendering this to you. And I felt it from my gut. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I surrendered all of that unhappiness. And the next morning my place burned down. Like
Wow.
I didn't ask for it to burn down, but I was asking to help get me out of that situation. Do you know what I
Lady
mean?
Universe was like, "You want a sign? I'm gonna give you a sign."
Lady Universe was like, I'm burning you out, girl.
You
Yeah.
need a kick
So
in the ass here, so here,
that's
here.
right.
Take this.
Lady Universe kicked me in the ass. And like if I were to do it over again, of course I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
fire. And
Yeah.
but I think that everything had to burn, Tony. Like, isn't
Yeah.
that weird? Like,
It
and so
is.
now, yeah, and now I'm just like grateful that that happened and
Yeah.
no one got hurt,
Thank
no,
God.
none of us got hurt. We just lost our homes, but
Mhm.
yeah, I'm really grateful for the fire, really
Yeah,
grateful
and
that
for
it
people
happened for me.
who don't live in Southern California, fires are a regular thing. Like I remember,
Oh my gosh.
and people in San Diego remember this years and years ago. The city was pretty much on fire. We had fires surrounding the
That's
whole
right.
city, and I remember they shut down work. We all had to go home, stay inside, and there was so much ash in the air. It looked like snow, but like
Yeah,
almost like the end of the world, and there was this
right.
really scary orange glow throughout the city.
Yeah,
It's
it's
if
scary.
you haven't been through something like that, it is the eeriest
It's
thing. It's very
very
weird.
eerie.
Yeah.
And the morning of the fire, Tony, I was gonna stay and fight it. I was gonna get on my
Really?
roof with my hose and fight it until my neighbors, Lauren and James, said, "Get out."
Really?
They were like, "You
Yeah,
got to
yeah,
get
yeah.
out," because the fire was coming over the ridge. So I had that moment, like you talk about in life, like
Mhm.
what would you take if you had to get out of your place because a
Yeah.
fire was, what would you take? And I had that moment, and like I grabbed a backpack and put like two pairs of underwear, a t-shirt, grabbed my dogs, I think my passport and my laptop, and I got in my car and I
Okay.
left, and everything else burned. But like I drove through embers and things burning and exploding around me, and it was
Oh
very
my God.
intense.
And how,
Yeah.
because like we were talking earlier on your podcast, a lot of the cast, I would say, was
Mhm.
from that old neighborhood. Do you still keep in touch with them, like Judy and Lauren? How are they all doing after the fire?
I just talked to James,
Hmm.
who was my neighbor who lived across the street, and they were almost done. They had remodeled, built a home, a beautiful house, and they were almost done with it. And the fire hit and burned it all down. So they had to
Oh,
start over. James and Lauren had to start over. But I have spoken to James through Instagram, and
hmm.
he's doing great. And he's like, "Come out. I really want to see you." But I've lost contact with everybody else. It's kind of sad because we
Yeah.
all kind of went into survival mode,
Yeah.
and we went our own ways, and we're all so far apart. And the neighborhood has not been rebuilt except for Lauren and James. Their home, I mean, they're builders. They built the house up again. But
Yeah.
so they're the only ones that are still out there. Everybody else is still, we're still all scattered.
Wow.
Yeah.
God. And that's probably happened to so many people here in SoCal. With that
Yeah.
went through those fires or even the fires before that or after that, because it's like fire season. Fire season's right now. So
Oh,
hopefully we don't have to
Tony,
go
it
through that
really it
again.
gives me anxiety. Like
No,
I see it on the
no
news and I get
shit. We
it
can
triggers me,
anxiety.
and if I can smell it, that really triggers me too.
Oh God, I could imagine. I could
Yeah.
imagine. So since then, you've started doing something that I'm super excited to talk about because I find this absolutely fascinating. And for people who listen to our show, know we talk a lot about the supernatural. We talk about Claude, the ghost that haunts our house.
How fun.
I know we have a ghost because
I
this
love it.
one, Rob decided a few years back on his birthday to pull out the Ouija board. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm going in the room. I'm watching Beaches. Leave me alone. And ever since then, we have a ghost. Like our
Yeah.
place is legit haunted. Like the weirdest stuff. And I'm convinced he is a gay from the 70s. We named him Claude. And he hates my artwork. He made it very clear he's not a fan of my artwork. And since quarantine, now that we're here all the time, he's been very active. Like, you guys are in my space. I'm used to having the house to myself.
Tony, I love a good haunt and a good ghost. I love it.
And it's never anything mean. We never get a mean vibe. It's always
Good.
He feels like he's checking in and wants us to acknowledge him once in a while. And like we've seen him like walk around and like go into different rooms and like put stuff in different places, turn on lights, open microwave doors, which I don't know why he does that, and other random shit like in the last year and a half. It's so bizarre. But you have gotten into the automatic pen reading. How would you describe it, like for people who don't know what it is?
Well, it's an intuitive practice. It's an intuitive ability. So I like to say I'm an intuitive reader, not a psychic reader, but an intuitive reader. You know, I did my artwork for years. I painted portraits of dogs and, you know, I grew up doing my art and that was always my thing.
Yeah.
And I could never understand, Tony, how I was able to paint. And I paint realism, like realistic portraits.
Yes.
And I could never figure out, like, how do I mix the paint to get the right color of the subject? Like, how do I do that? I could never figure that out. I didn't go to school. I'm self-taught.
Wow.
So it was very spiritual. Like sometimes I felt I could let the brush go and it would just paint on its own. It's a very spiritual thing. So I always had that going on that I could never figure out. And then my mom was really psychic. When I was growing up, my mom was psychic, but it scared her.
Really?
So yeah, like she could tell when people were going to call, like, oh, the phone's going to ring, and it would ring.
That creeps me out, but it fascinates me at the same time.
Are you somewhat of a skeptic, Tony?
I would say no. I just scare easily. How would you say I like to torture myself with it because I like to scare myself to death. I know I'm going to get scared if I watch a scary movie. I know I'm going to get scared with the supernatural, but I can't stay away from it. I love it too much. So I do it to myself. I torture myself.
I think it's kind of cute. Yeah, you torture yourself.
I do.
But but I feel like you, well, let me just finish with my mom.
Yes.
So that growing up with a mom that was psychic was really interesting, but it did scare her. So then, you know, I ended up doing my art. And then what happened was I started, I went through something with a guy. Like I fell in love with this guy and he didn't love me back. And I kind of lost myself and I lost myself bad. Has that ever happened to you?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Like,
and he's
like
right
when
there.
you really lose yourself.
Yes. I'm sorry, Rob. I had to take the joke. No, I have. And I, like you, I grew up doing art too, like art, but I taught myself from comic books and then went to school and I did it for a bit and then I just kind of stopped because it came too money driven for me at the time.
Right.
And now I do it as a side thing, hobby, when I feel I want to do it instead of when people telling me to do it.
Right.
But I am nowhere on the level of realistic art like you are. For people who have not seen Vagsy's Mr. Malone's artwork, it is phenomenal. Like
Thank
your
you, Tony.
portraits of animals, I could never get close to doing. It is so good. And we talked about the last time you were on the show.
Right.
Like it's really, really good.
Well, you know what? Thank you. I do think they're good. And I say that and I'm not full of myself. I'm able to kind of step outside of myself and look at it like, yeah, I am a good artist, but I tell people all the time, I'm an artist that has no interest in art.
Really?
Like zero. Don't tell me about your cousin that's good at art and you want me to meet them. I don't care. Don't invite me to an art showing. I'm not going. Like I have zero interest in art. You know what I mean?
Why is that? Weird. That is so bizarre because you're so good at it.
I'm
That is so
It's so
weird.
bizarre. Yeah. And when I paint, I don't enjoy it. It comes from a spiritual place. I honor it. I show up. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
do it. I do love when I give the painting to the person and they have an emotional reaction. I
Yeah.
love that part of it. But as far as painting, I do not enjoy it, Tony. It's hard on my eyes. It's hard on my back. It's not fulfilling for me
Yeah.
at all. It's kind of like if you were to doodle and somebody were to go, "That's really good," and you'd go like, "Well, it's just a doodle."
That's what your artwork, you're comparing it to a doodle. How dare you?
Well,
It's
the
so good.
feeling, no, just the
Yeah.
feeling of it. And I don't
Yeah.
want to
No,
come
I get that.
across as like not grateful for the gift. I am very grateful for the gift. I really am, and I've honored it. It just didn't serve me. Like
Yeah.
my readings are serving me the way that I've always wanted the feeling the readings give me with my art, but I never got it with my art.
How
Does that
did
make
the reading?
sense?
Yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from because
Hmm.
sometimes my relationship over the years has changed with art, and sometimes I am exactly in the same mood you're in, and
Yeah.
sometimes I'm not. But how did you get started with the automatic pen writing? Like, how did that start? Because as a fan
Yeah.
of the show, it hasn't always been your thing. It seems like it kind of started in the last year or so that it
That's
really
right.
kicked in. So how did that
Yeah.
begin?
I'll never, yeah, because when I just threw it out to Ross one day when
Yeah,
we were at the Crystal Shrine,
the Christian
that I could
Shrine.
do this.
Yes.
And he was like, "What?" But let me go back to the guy that I lost myself over.
Yeah.
So it was like in the 90s, no, early 2000s, and I lost myself over a guy, and ended up going like searching just for answers and trying to
Mhm.
figure it out and all that stuff. And I remember going to a bookstore and a book popped off the shelf called like The Boyfriend Within or something. And I started reading it. It was about this technique, like to use for yourself. Like you'd get two pens and pick up one pen and write out a question and put that pen down, pick up the other pen,
Yeah.
and kind of like quiet your mind and just let the pen write and see what comes out. Like
Mhm.
it's called automatic pen writing.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that, but that's what this book was all about. So
Oh,
I tried it. I went home and tried it, and it worked. Tony, it worked. I was like,
how
the
bizarre.
yeah, it started giving me beautiful answers to help me get over this guy. And I started using it as a tool to help me through that experience. And it really did help me. And then it started giving me all these other things that I
Mhm.
wasn't asking for. Like it just started reading other people, and my best friend would get readings, and then I was seeing a therapist at the time, and she wanted to see it, so I did it for her, and she sent me to the hypnosis center, and I did it for them, and
Yeah.
they diagnosed me as an automatic pen writer.
Wow. How was that finding out that you can do this? Like I would have been like, "Oh my god, I'm a superhero. I need to come up with a superhero name and a costume."
Tony, it was so natural because the
Yeah.
painting, when I
Yeah.
would paint,
That
that
makes
was
sense.
very
Yeah.
automatic
Yeah.
pen writing, like
As
people.
as you were just talking about the whole pen writing and spirituality, one of the doors in our apartment just slammed shut. So,
See, that's
so
how it works. We'll
Claude's
talk about that.
listening. He's
Yeah, he's
here.
here.
One of
He's
the
here.
doors, it's the door right behind us.
Oh, was
closed by
that it? Because
itself.
I heard a door slam and I looked at Rob and he's like, and I was like, oh fuck.
But I just want to say, Tony, that it was very natural for me
Yeah.
because of the painting and how that worked. So the automatic pen writing makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So
It's
how
in the
does
same
it
ballpark.
how does it work? Like is it like because I've been to psychics before and like tarot cards. Is it around the same line of how that works? Or is this more you get something from the universe and it comes out through the pen?
I feel it. I can
Hmm.
see it. And it doesn't really come out through the pen as much anymore. I just basically now talk to people.
Okay.
And every now and then I'll draw something and it'll make sense to the person. But yeah, it's from my, I get a lot of things in my third eye. I do mediumship. Some, a lot of spirits come in, people that have left.
Oh, really?
They come in over my right shoulder, and it's always entertaining because some pop right in, some knock, or they'll like peek, and it's just more of a feeling, you
Okay.
know?
And
Yeah.
it's not like you hear a voice or you see something. It's more of internal, like a feeling, like somebody's here, they have something to say. This is
Yes.
what it is.
Yes, but I do see things sometimes. I'll see
Really?
lights in the corner of my eye. You know,
Oh,
I'll see that
wow.
a dog was running around here the other morning. I'm like, why is this dog here? Like I could feel a dog running around. I
Oh,
know this sounds all hokey
so
pokey,
I love it.
but
What are you talking about? It's like
but sometimes I
Christmas for me.
can.
I love this shit.
Yeah, so I love that. I sometimes can see who it is, what they look like. Can describe their personalities. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you ever get anything that's not positive, like something like a negative energy that comes through? And how do you shut that off from affecting you as the person,
Right.
as the, how would you say, like catalyst or the instrument from that world to this world?
Well, I'm really good at turning it off. After a reading, I'm done. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And I tell people that I'm giving readings to that I won't remember a lot of the reading. I like to step aside and let the divine come through, let spirit come through and do its thing, right? So
Hmm.
I'm not real I'll remember little bits and pieces of the readings, but not a lot of it. Like people will come back and go like, "Remember when you said this?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." So I'm really good at after the reading, it just turns off. Like I'm just,
You're
but I
done.
will yeah, but I will get
Yeah.
hits throughout the day. And I
Really?
will call a friend. Like if something happens, I'll go, "Oh, this person just popped into my thought. Like this person's like flying around here."
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
ever do you run into skeptics a lot and that try to test you to like yeah, try to test you to see if
Okay.
it's legit or not?
Remind me of that question. I want to answer your other question. What
Okay.
was it about like turning it off, but also
Oh, evil, like a
the
negative
dark,
energy coming
negative,
through.
yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Well, I don't like to deal with the dark or any
Mhm.
kind of negativity. So I always make a point in my meditation before my readings to come from a place of love and light. So my
Okay.
readings are that. I will get signs and messages about people's health. You know what I mean? Like I'll
Yeah.
feel if there's blockage or there's a heaviness or something's muddy. So I'll present it like their system is a little muddy or their body feels like there's some chaos in it, some anxiety. It'll
Mhm.
never be like anything harsh and negative. It'll come through like that, like what's going on with this person. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
okay. Yeah,
yeah, it
yeah,
feels
yeah.
very
That makes
muddy,
sense. Yeah.
chaotic up here.
Yeah.
So I don't ever, I do sometimes get dark thoughts, things come in, but
Mhm.
they don't need to hear it. You know what I mean?
I
They
gotcha.
don't need to
Yeah.
hear that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And how has the response with the people that you're reading? Like, because it must be, to me, it would seem very satisfying to give people this information that maybe they've been waiting to hear for a
Yeah.
very long time. And for them, it may be very emotional, but for you, maybe it's like, this is just work. Where you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Tony, I've cried during readings. I'm right there. I'm very
Hmm.
present within them. So I
Oh,
do
that's
get
cool.
emotional with them sometimes. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Most people do cry in the readings. I had some readings. A girl cried just an hour ago when I was giving a reading. So yes, I feel like this is so satisfying to me because I feel like I'm being of service. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm giving back.
Oh,
I
I
feel like I'm
love that.
helping people,
Yeah.
and it's just beautiful, when I get clear messages from people. Like I popped in I had this reading the other day. This is just one example. And I was going through my spiel, my opening spiel, like stay open. And, I won't remember a lot of this reading. And all of a sudden excuse me, but who's Leslie? Who's Leslie? And she started crying. She's like, oh my God, that's my best friend who just died. And this is why I'm getting the reading. Now, why would I get the name Leslie?
Yeah.
Leslie.
Yeah.
So it's
That
stuff
is
like that.
so weird. Does that freak you out when that happens?
I love it.
Really?
I love it.
I would be
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god, it's happening! It's happening!" Ah!
Yeah.
That's how
And
I
what's
would get.
interesting? It's happening.
I
Well,
know.
what's interesting too? Sometimes people come in and they want to hear from somebody,
Yeah.
but like sometimes they get in their own way of letting the spirit come to them. Because if
Okay.
you want it too bad, it's not going to come. Like it's best just to be open to
Mhm.
messages and signs and stuff like that instead of looking for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So they'll say
Wow.
like, well, why didn't my cat come in? I'm like, well, have you been like really looking for that sign because you're blocking it? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just wait till it appears, until it
Has
happens.
have did you know about this gift from like early age and didn't know what to call it, or was this something that came to you later in life?
Well, when I was little, I drew to escape the
Mhm.
chaos that was around me. I would go into my drawings and my paintings, and I taught myself how to draw. So that was kind of a form of it. Do you know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That
and I
makes
would get
sense.
really good grades from my teachers, and everybody would always say, like, "You're a good artist. Like, how does like a 9-year-old draw like that?"
Yeah.
But that was spirit. That was
Wow.
the first signs of all this, I think.
And do you think a lot of this came from your mom since she had the gift too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It did.
Wow.
I think it can run in the DNA. I think psychic abilities, intuitiveness can be in your DNA.
Yeah, for sure. I
Hmm.
totally agree with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you still even now get stuff from your mom coming in to say hi once in a while?
Well, I do, and I want to tell you. Wait, did you ask me the question about skeptics, like how I deal with
Did I, Rob?
skeptics?
And Rob's
I
like,
didn't.
yes, you're getting off topic.
Did I
Yes.
answer it?
I don't remember, did he?
No, he hasn't. But thanks for
Okay.
keeping Tony on
I
track.
know. I'm
I'm
just
trying.
fascinated. I'm like really
Tony
listening.
Marie.
Tony Marie, I tell you all the time.
My
I'm
Stay
God, this
focused.
is absolutely biblical.
focused on what
My God,
Mr.
I have
Malone
to be
is
the one to
saying.
keep coming back too much, and I'm what 93, and I'm coming back, and
I'm like,
right.
I'm
So-
very fascinated by this. So when you're talking, I'm really listening, and I keep forgetting. Like,
I love you,
wait,
Tony.
what were we talking about? Because I'm totally enthralled in this
I
story.
want to tell you that I love skeptics. Let me just say they're
Yeah.
my favorite. My favorite. I love when I get a skeptic.
And how do you handle them? Because do they come in like completely blocked? Nothing you say is gonna convince me. How do you turn that around for them?
Well, Tony, it's usually the husband of a wife that I've given a reading to, right? Like a straight guy.
Really?
I've had many of them, and they'll come in, and my wife wanted me to do this, right?
Really?
And then I'll
Okay.
start the reading, and you see their eyes getting bigger and bigger, and then they're like, "How did you know that?" And I'm like, "You are getting a reading."
You're like, hello.
Hello. But I love the skeptics because I mean, it's like 99% of them by the end of the reading are like, "Oh my gosh, you were so right." And you know what I mean? I love skeptics.
Yeah. So back to the question of your mom. Do you still
Yeah,
get messages from her now?
I do. And I have this compact because I'm at the desk where I give my readings. And so
Okay.
this is her compact that she would hold and use every day. And I use this in my readings for mom energies. Like when I pull this, it usually has to do with a mom energy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So she
yeah.
helps me with this kind of stuff. And she is one of my guides to help me tune in. She does help me in spirit with this. So
Okay.
yeah, I do use her. I lean on her.
How many guides do you have? And with somebody who's in it does this, what are guides for people who may not know?
Well, guides, they take all different kinds of forms. Like I know I have a guide, but I'm not real clear about who it is or what it is. It just is an energy and it's a feeling. I know
Yeah.
somebody is looking out for me. I know it's my mom. I know she looks out for me and keeps me safe. But I also know and feel an energy. It's just an energy. It's a knowing that you're being taken care of. Haven't you ever had that feeling like somebody's taking care of you or watching out for you? Like
Yes.
you didn't go somewhere and you missed an accident happening, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, when I went through my cancer thing a couple years ago,
Mhm.
they found it by mistake, and that really convinced me because the way they found it, if they didn't find it, I would be dead by now.
Yeah.
But they found it by mistake, and in the back of my head, I'm like, it's somebody on the other side who was looking out for me
That's right.
that made this other thing happen in order for them to find the real problem. And if that
That's
one thing
right.
did not happen, I probably wouldn't be here today.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
always been in the back of my head. And me and Robbie have talked about that. Like, oh, it's somebody was watching out for you.
Yeah. Tony, I love that you're open to all of this. I
Yeah.
love it. And I love that, sometimes my best friend, she's named her guide.
really?
A name came to her. So if you were to stop and really, clear your head
Mhm.
and just be present and meditate for a little bit, you could get a name, you could get more information about your guide. It's
Yeah.
about stopping and paying attention when
Okay.
you're in that feeling or you have that feeling, you know?
And I think Robbie actually probably has a little bit of it because he's very intuitive and
Mhm.
always has been, right, Rob? And we've
How,
talked about this on the show, where even when you saw the psychic back home in Michigan, but he's always had that thing.
Not,
and it's
yeah.
always
not
creepy.
like
Not
Mr.
like you.
Malone, no. But yeah, every once in a while, I think everybody kind of does if you
I
stay
do
open
too.
to it, like you're saying.
Mhm.
But yeah, I sometimes get some intuition that'll pop in once in a while, and I'll just tell Tony, I think this is gonna happen, and like,
And then it happens.
and then it'll happen.
then
You
it
just have to be
happens.
open
And I
to
make
it.
you brew. Ha ha ha! Get away from me, witch! Burn the witch!
Right.
No, I'm
Oh my God. But Robbie, no, you're right. I believe everybody can do it and does it in their own way. But they're just
Okay.
they don't articulate it. They don't
Yeah.
they don't title it. They don't call it anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that part of you that knows if it's right to do or wrong to do, or if you should or shouldn't. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
It's just-
and like I was telling you, we want to come up and visit you. We were planning on doing it before.
Right before Corona hit, we wanted to go up to LA, the shrine, not tell you we were coming to surprise you, book a
love that.
reading. So it was all like on the fly, like none prepared, and see what
good.
happens.
I love
That's
that.
what we were planning to do. And then Miss Corona
And then we're like,
ruined
okay.
Corona
everything.
hit.
We're like, this
The
will be over in about a
Cocorona hit.
month. We'll go later. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, this is dragging on.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but you know what? Oh, Robbie, where are you going? My
Oh,
love,
you-
come back, my
sorry.
angel.
Someone has to
you
hit the
know-
buttons.
Wait, can I just ask you a couple more
Yes.
questions? First of all, we could do this on a Zoom or FaceTime.
Mhm.
I can give you guys.
Oh my
readings.
God, that would be amazing.
Yeah, because I do get some stuff for Tony, and then like I want you to come back because I started to get bumps with you, but like I started bumping with Tony. I call it bumping, like spirits are bumping. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have stuff with Tony, but like we can always do it through FaceTime. So
Yeah.
you know,
What
I'm
were you
fascinated with
bumping?
your ability.
I'm curious.
Bumping, like there's somebody in spirit that I know is around you, and they're bumping to try to come in to talk to you. Wait, so Robbie, is there somebody, Tony, who's in spirit that you were close to?
My grandparents.
I was
Was it
gonna
a grandmother?
Yeah, not a grandmother, grandfather. It's
Was it-
grandparents.
Did you and your brother spend time together with him?
Yes. Very
A lot
much
of
so.
time, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Growing up,
All right.
yes.
Yeah, no, I really like.
yeah,
Did he
go ahead.
did he tinker around with stuff? Like, was he a tinkerer, or did he spend time in his garage? or did he-
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, my grandfather, a lot of time in the garage. He had his boxing ring where he trained me and my brother
That's
when
right.
we were younger in the
Yeah.
garage
Yep.
in the boxing training, all of that kind of stuff when we
Yeah,
were. That is so
I can,
bizarre.
I
Wow.
can see you there. All right. Well, I'm going to swing the pendulum back over to Robbie because
go ahead.
we can continue this later because I know we don't have a lot of time. But I can see you and your brother there with him.
It's
So-
funny you said that because when you were talking about the cancers thing, I said I think it was your tata.
You've always said that. He's
I
like, it's
think
always
it-
your tata. He was the one who was like, I'm gonna make this happen.
and fix you up.
Yeah, and that's what he
Yeah,
would have
he-
done in real
He's
life.
a tinkerer.
So, yeah, when he
He's
was
a
still
tinker,
here.
and
yeah.
he's
for
coming,
sure.
he's here. He's like, do you mind if I have a seat? So he's here. Now, tell me, Robbie, right? Robbie.
Yeah.
I want you to lean into this ability more. Why don't you lean into this ability?
I don't know. I guess I just don't know how. It's
Yeah.
just comes over me once in a while where I'll get
Yeah.
an intuition about something.
You're
But I
good.
don't-
You're an intuitive. I can feel it and I can see it, and I think you can actually work with people.
Oh.
See, Robbie.
I don't know if
Yeah,
I'm that good.
No, you know what? I think you could start experimenting. I mean, that's what I did. Just
Do
start,
it, Rob. Do it.
I think you already do it with what's his name again? Tony.
I do it with Tony.
Yes, you do every day. God.
Yeah. You should start just playing with experimenting. You know,
You
playing with
should,
it.
I think
Like
I should.
do it for your friends. Like have them sit down, close your eyes, clear your mind, and see what comes to you, and then just tell them.
Okay.
Try.
I'll give it a try. I'll
You should
it a
give,
try.
Practice more on
should
you.
Give the cast of this show a reading.
Oh, it could be a whole
Do it.
episode.
Oh my God, Robbie the psychic. All spirits come forth. All spirits come forth.
Robbie the psychic is ready.
Oh my God, I'm so here for it.
Oh my God,
I
that would
know.
be amazing.
I
That
love
would-
Robbie the psychic. That's so
I
cute.
do too. I do too. Robbie the psychic. Can we do that, Rob? You should do a segment for the show.
Okay.
I would love that. I would absolutely adore that.
Oh my God, please do it. Can I be the first person he reads?
Totally.
Yes.
I will
Yes.
read your tea.
I love it.
Oh my God, that would be amazing, Rob. But I just find it all so fascinating. The automatic pen reading. Anybody who who has a connection to the other side, because I truly believe there is another side, and that there is spirit that walks among us, watches over us, and makes sure like we're okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what, Tony? We're all energy. You think when we die, that energy just goes away? No, it goes into the great all of everything.
Yeah.
And I do believe in spirit, we can like kind of gather our energy and pull it together to come to somebody in our essence of who we were. And that's called spirit. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So sometimes when I want to connect with my mother, I'll say like, Mom, if you want to, if you have enough energy, come to me. I want a sign. But
Yeah.
I want to ask her. I want to ask her because she may not want to. She may not want to, collect her energy, pool her energy together to come to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. Makes a lot of sense. How
Yeah.
do people, if people are interested in getting a reading from you, Mr. Malone, how do they do it? How do they get in touch with you?
I have a website called automaticpinwriter.com. That's automaticpinwriter.com.
Yes.
And you go on the website. There's two options, 30 minutes, an hour, and you can pay through PayPal or Venmo. Book your reading, and then you email me, and we'll work out the best day and time for your reading.
Yeah. Is
that easy?
Do you do them over Zoom or phone or whatever people prefer? If they want to just do it over phone, can they do it over the phone? Or do you prefer to do it over Zoom?
I like to do it. My favorite is FaceTime.
Okay.
If you have an iPhone, because for some reason, Tony, it works so well through FaceTime.
Really?
Zoom also, Zoom too, and Skype, it works through. I don't know if it's the electricity of all of this that makes it like, yeah, it's like the reception is really clear. I had somebody come to me about 2 months ago. It was a girl, and she said, I don't know how a reading can take place if I'm not in person with you. Like, I don't see how that can work.
Mhm.
And I said, it actually works better through FaceTime.
Really? That is very interesting than doing it in person.
Yes, because
Maybe it is the energy between, like the electrical energy that maybe heightens the signal. I don't know how else to put it.
Look, electricity is a high form of energy, so that's why spirit is easy. It's easy for spirit to manipulate electricity, right? So if you get a light that blinks, that could be your grandfather that's visiting you, or something like. It's very easy, I think, for spirits to manipulate electricity. That's why I think the FaceTime and the Zoom, that all works really well.
I was just going to jump in real quick.
Oh, hi, Psychic Robin.
You're talking about electric energy. For those of you that are interested, go back and listen to Nikki Boyer's episode on her podcast, because as soon as she started talking about her podcast, Dying for Sex, we were talking about, we wondered if her friend, Molly, what she thought of the show, the finished product. And just then the sound went silent for about 15 seconds. And we thought we lost each other, and then it just came right back on, and she's like, oh my God, I think that was her telling us, letting us know she's here.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So go back and listen to that.
It was a weird moment
between...
Psychic
Robbie.
Thank you, Rob.
That was really good.
Yeah, it was a weird moment with Nikki, because the three of us were in this very good discussion about Dying for Sex, which revolves around her friend Molly and that journey, which is an amazing, one of my favorite podcasts. And people who know me know I'm a podcast junkie. I listen to over 100 and some podcasts that I subscribe to. But Nikki's Dying for Sex was one of the best that I've ever heard.
It's so good. I cried at the last episode. I cried.
Oh my God, this is before quarantine, and I was in the office bawling my eyeballs.
I know. Wait, now, Tony, I can't hear you as well. I can't hear you right now.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
There I am.
Something electrical. Maybe it's a spirit in the room.
But yeah, no, Dying for Sex. So when we were doing that, it did. The sound cut out right when we had asked the question. I wonder how Molly feels about all this. And then it was that.
Isn't
and
that
it was
beautiful?
It was just this moment where the three of us were like, and like you hold your breath and you're like, yep, that was something.
And see, there's a knowing. You know what I mean? People just don't want to acknowledge it because they go to the literal thinking. They go to their literal minds and they're like, oh, that's not happening. Do you know what I mean? Oh, I saw a light in my peripheral vision. Oh, that's just the flash of the TV. Yeah. No, sometimes it may not be.
Or like a shadow and stuff like that. And I also wonder if all of this haunting stuff that's been happening in our place. Maybe it is our grandparents coming to say hi and messing with, because I know my granddaddy, he would want to be fucking with us just for his shits and giggles.
Oh,
I know it.
yes, but you may have been closer to him, but did he with your grandmother, were they really tight? Did they stay married a long time?
Yes. Yeah.
Because they came in together. So, and then he stepped forward.
It's two different grandfathers. One, my grandma's still alive. One, well, no, my other grandmother, they were super close.
He's talking about your
Tata Armando.
Yeah, the one in the garage and like all
Yeah, no, they were super close for a very, very, very long time. And they both passed away around the same time too.
Right. Well, they're together, but he stepped up.
Okay,
to give me
he
that
would be the
visual
one who would out of both grandparents.
Yeah, I actually liked him. He's real strong.
He was a tough old man.
All spirits come forth.
Oh my god.
Oh, I am a nut.
I know you are, and I love it.
That's the other thing we say all the time. You're a nut.
Yeah, nut. That's the other nut. What is the Tina Turner one that you do on nut bush?
Nut bush. I started going
that's
nut.
The other one.
Oh, I am a nut. You gotta say it like that. A nut.
Oh, wait, I don't know why that makes me laugh so hard. Even when Rob does it, I'm just like, it'll get me. It'll get me the giggles for sure.
I love that. I like when on the podcast I'll go like, I mean, because I do step outside of myself and channel whatever this is that comes through.
Yeah.
When I go, oh, just too much. Like, I don't know where that comes from. I mean, I know where it came from right now, but when I'm in the moment, like it literally, I'm become someone else. I don't know who it is.
But I love Straight Talk. For people who don't listen, they need to be listening. It's such a good show, and Ross does such a great job. And it's really funny. We've pretty much had all of you guys on except for Ross. It's the only one we haven't.
Oh, you got to have Ross on.
I know. He would. No, I'd be too nervous. I'd probably shit my pants. No,
you wouldn't.
Well, technically, he was on the show for a few minutes at DragCon.
I interviewed him at DragCon.
Yeah, he did come over and wanted to chat with us.
Because I was talking to Mark for a while and talking about when he did his podcast with Josh Wolf, who I love. When they did he said, and I was talking to Mark, and Mark was like, oh, okay, so you're like a legit fan, like you've listened to us from day one.
Yeah, you go way back.
Yeah. And so he had us, he worked it out so we can do a really quick interview with Ross while we were at DragCon covering DragCon.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And Ross was great. He was so sweet.
Yeah,
so
he's
sweet.
wonderful. I mean, he does terrorize me, though, you know.
But I love it. I love Princess Angry and Princess.
No, he's very much elder abuse with him, with me. We have a very combative relationship, but there is a lot of love there.
Yeah,
you know.
And I want there to be a TV show where it's like a sitcom, like almost Golden Girls, but it's you and Ross like living in a nursing home together, terrorizing.
Oh my gosh! Can you imagine that show?
People. That would be amazing. I would watch that religiously.
Oh my God, I'd be throwing things at him. He would be so abusive to me.
And then there's like a love storyline with one of the attendants there that you both fight over.
That's hilarious. You know, wait, real quick, back to Josh Wolf.
Yes.
He was just on this last episode of Straight Talk.
Yeah.
And we're going to be on his podcast on Tuesday live on, what is it called? Controlled Chaos or something he does live on YouTube. So all of us, the cast of Straight Talk will be on that show on Tuesday live.
On Tuesday. What time? Do you know what time it's at? I forget. I think it's like
7 o'clock. 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
He is so funny to me. I've been a fan of Josh Wolf for so long. He's one of the funniest comedians that I truly love, like his work. He's so good.
Yeah.
But I love everything you do. You know this. I've been a fan for a long
Tony,
time.
You are a living doll.
And one more time, how do people get readings for you? Because I encourage everybody who listens to our show, look at Mr. Malone,
Thanks,
go
Tony.
get a reading. How do people do this? Give them
go to automaticpinwriter.com. Automaticpinwriter. And you can follow me on social media at Fagsy Malone, and you can come through my DMs, but it's better if you email me through the website, because if they come through a DM on Instagram, they'll get lost in the shuffle there. I don't really check it that often. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And you guys can watch Mr. Malone on Straight Talk with Ross Matthews.
Oh, good times.
You guys do it every week still, right?
You know what we do, and I have to hand it to Ross for being so consistent with it. That's pretty, he's pretty, like, you know what I mean? Every week we do it. Like, it's easy to go like, oh, I don't feel like doing it, but he does it. We do it every week.
Yeah.
And you know, there's no one that really makes me laugh as much as Ross. Like Ross, you know, those little things he says, like, they are so
his puns crack me up.
The puns, but there's a lot of little puns that you can miss. He's always saying something funny that, you know what I mean, under his breath. Like he'll say stuff so funny.
And I love that he drops in a lot of stuff that only straight talkers will know throughout the episode. If you're like a real listener that's listened to day one, he drops a lot of stuff that only real, true straight talkers will know. And I love that.
They go over my head too. You know what I mean? I'm like, what? But I always tell people too, like, you know, they'll say like, I want to listen to the podcast you're on with Ross. I'm like, well, give it some time. Because if you just pop on, you start listening, you may not get it because there's a lot of inside jokes and stuff like that. But if you hang in there long enough, you'll click in. And once you click in, then you're like a bona fide fan. Like you're like a straight talker and like you're in it.
And all of you do such a great job of making us fans feel part of the experience with you guys, like part of the family.
Oh, thank you. I love
you
that
guys do a really good job with that. Everybody on this show does. And I love that.
Well, you know, we're all here together. We're all the same. Like, you know, the listeners are everything. The listeners are what matter the most.
Yes,
you know?
they are. They truly are.
Let me ask you something. Do you like my segment Freaky Fagsy?
I love Freaky Fagsy because I'm always waiting for the dirty shit, and you're the only one who brings like the
I got a lot of slack from that.
I love it. You what?
You know, I started. People didn't like it because they thought it was filthy. They thought I was bringing filth to the show, and I'm like, wait. Number one, I'm not. I'm just the messenger here. This segment is about inclusion, acceptance, and for people to not feel like they're a freak if they tend to like something that's out of the ordinary. It's a very inclusive segment, but I started getting some negative feedback when I first started it because they thought it was filthy and I was filthy and I was dirty. And I'm like, no, this is all about accepting everybody for what they do. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. If you're safe and it's consensual, then what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's life. People are doing this. So yeah.
And I'm not the one coming up with it. The listeners are sending me the stories.
Exactly. I have to say, your segment and the blackness are my two favorite. I told CJ this, like, now that he's doing Can We Kick It, which we talk a lot about on our show.
Yeah,
Can We Kick It is, and what CJ and Paris do with that show is amazing. And I'm so glad he has a platform for his voice that he can really explore things he talks about on the blackness on Straight Talk. You can hear it on Can We Kick It.
Isn't he just a hunk of love?
Yeah, and he was so sweet when he was on our show. Like one of the best people. Sweet. Yeah. Well, all of you guys are. All of you. Such cool people. And I'm so glad you came back on our show to catch up with us.
You know, I just love you so much. And now Psychic Robbie, it's just so good.
You got to come back on and be the first reading Rob does. That would be so much fun.
Oh my God. Please, Tony, let me do that. Let me sit there and have Robbie read me. I would love it.
Or would that make you nervous, Robbie?
Probably, but who cares?
He'll get past it.
Yeah, he will. I think it'd be fascinating. I would love it.
I think that Robbie should do this. I think it should be Psychic Robbie, and he maybe should think about doing it in drag.
He makes an ugly drag queen, trust me.
That's what would
make
it good.
He looks like Susan Powers. Do you remember Susan Powers?
Susan Powder?
Is that who she was?
Susan Powder, the exercise?
Yes.
Oh, stop the... I miss her. I was obsessed with her.
When me and Rob first started dating, we did Halloween, and he got really, really drunk, and I put him in drag for this, right? And mind you, this was maybe a couple weeks into us dating. He got really wasted, passed out in my house, threw up all over the place, and he was still in drag, but he had really short, spiky blonde hair at the time, and he looked exactly like Susan Powers.
Oh my God, how cute, how fun.
But I also had a wig cap on and then passed out face down in front of the toilet for the rest of the night.
What costume were you wearing? Was it what is the beer Stein girl?
Oktoberfest girl.
Yeah.
Oh, like a little Heidi, like a little Swiss Alps girl?
Like a St. Pauli girl.
Yeah.
And then I left him there, took his best friend Holly, and we went and got burritos while he was passed out.
Oh my God. That's hilarious. Psychic Robbie has a past.
Yes, he has a long past.
I love you guys.
I'm so glad you came back on the show today, Fagsy. I love having you on.
Anytime. And thank you, Tony, for having me back. But
absolutely.
Please, can we do that with Psychic Robbie? I will drive down. Well, we can't do it in quarantine.
But I wish we could do it.
Why don't we wait till then? Yeah. Till this is all over with. I can maybe come back and sit there.
Yes.
And then have a Psychic Robbie read.
Yes, that would be.
What if he's like just reads me like, you girl, you are. That's your reading.
That's a reading.
That's your reading.
I know.
You're like, I need therapy. Like Stack. Get me into a therapist.
Now, it might be slightly cheating because I listened to gay podcasts.
True. So you already know a lot about Mr Malone. So
I love it.
Oh my God, it's been an absolute joy. And one more time for the people in the back, how do they find you, Fagsy? How do they get readings?
Oh, thank you, Tony. automaticpinwriter.com.
There you go. And you guys, you can
sounded like a news anchor.
I know you did. What's the weather going to be like, Tina? What's the weather, Tina? I'm throwing to you.
Oh my gosh.
You can follow the podcast on Instagram. We are whoinvitedher_podcast on Instagram. We are whoinvitedher_ST on Facebook and Twitter. We love hearing from you guys. You can email us at thegang@whoinvitedher.net. The crew will be back next week. You will get a fill in on all their adventures they've been up to this weekend. Also,
I want to meet the crew.
They're a lot.
Okay.
I'm kidding. No. Yes, you have to. Next time when we do the Psychic Robbie and Fagsy episode, you got it. We'll have the whole crew. And then we'll be the peanut gallery while this happens.
Yeah, no, I love it. The title of that your episode, it should be called Psychic Robbie Reads Fagsy.
There you go. Make a note, Rob.
I've got this. I'm gonna.
I know he's like. It's my time to shine.
I'll be reading my books from the gem store. So that I learn how to do this.
Your Moldavite.
The crystals and all the spiritual artifacts.
There you go.
So my friend Susan, if you're watching, we're going to take a trip to the store.
Oh, yeah. His friend Susan's all into that stuff, which I love.
Tony, seriously, if you want to continue your reading, I'm here, because your grandfather did come in with your grandmother. They had a beautiful.
Interesting.
They had a beautiful connection.
What was I gonna say? My other show, Film Springa. Everybody, you can watch that Thursday nights, 8:00 on YouTube. It is me and my friend Bryn. We are misfit movie buffs, and we get our ex-evangelical Christian friend and expose her to movies she's never seen before.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so you can watch Film Springa every Thursday at 8:00. It's like Rum Springa, but not so yamish. Just with cocktails. And this week's movie, our very first movie review, is Mommy Dearest. One of my favorite movies. Yeah. She's never seen Mommy Dearest.
Never seen Mommy Dearest?
Ever. And she's 38, never seen Mommy Dearest. And me and Bryn, my other friend, love this movie. It has a very emotional connection for both of us. So we get to watch it from a very nostalgic point of view. She gets to watch, our friend Lena watches it from a very virgin eyes. And then we talk about the film and see if it still holds up after all these years.
Oh it still does.
It does.
Real quickly, there's not one scene in that movie that's bad. Every scene is good.
I know, and I'm so excited for our friend Lena to watch it for the very first time. She's never seen anything about it. Never seen any clips, nothing. All she had to go on was the movie poster where it's all white and just the red lips and like all of that and the name of the movie. That was it. That's all. And she kept saying, it's about Joan Collins. And we're like, yep, that's what it is. Joan Collins.
Oh my gosh, Tony. I saw Mommy Dearest in the movie theater with my friends in like 1982 or something, whenever it came out. I saw it in the theater. And it was so much fun to see it with an audience.
Yeah, I bet.
Like, we were laughing so hard. It was a new movie and we were laughing and quoting it like in the moment.
So good.
It was so funny.
So good. Yes.
Jesus Christ. And the little girl, when the little Christina goes, Jesus Christ. And I love how unappealing she is. She's so uncharismatic. You almost want her to beat her up.
Do you love how...
I don't mean that in a literal. That's just about the movie. But you know what I mean?
Yes. Do you love how Christina, the little actress, never ages through the first half of the movie, but
No,
Christian,
never.
the brother, does, but she
Yes.
never does.
But her
It's so
wig
weird.
ages. Her
Exactly.
wig ages. And let me tell you, that's what makes her unappealing. And that's why when the wire hangers come out, I'm like, why doesn't she take that wire hanger and hit that wig and knock it off? That's a terrible wig.
It's
very
so
unappealing,
true.
that Christina, the actress.
It is. Yes. Yes. You're so right. Oh my God, Max, you make me laugh so hard.
I love you, Tony.
Thank you so much again for coming on the show again.
You're so welcome.
I love it. And you guys, we will see you next week. But today, I'm going to leave you with my band pick of the week. This is a singer I am obsessed with. And the song, it's Sia's Together. You guys, go listen to the song. I love it. It makes me feel good. And it's my current jam. So we're going to leave you with that. Bye, Fagsy. Thank you so much, Mr. Malone. And we will see everybody next week.
Bye.
Bye.
We can dig it high.